Imagine your two front teeth being the reason you almost died by being sentenced to the death penalty. This was the case for Kennedy Brewer after the sudden rape and killing of his girlfriend's 3-year-old daughter. In the early mornings of May 3rd, 1992, Kennedy Brewer's girlfriend, Gloria Jackson's 3-year-old daughter, was taken, raped, and murdered from their family home. Now you might be wondering, where was the parents during this incident? Well, Kennedy was actually babysitting Gloria's children that evening when the incident occurred. Unfortunately, 2 days after the disappearance of the baby girl, her body was found in a creek about 500 yards away from their home. Brewer became the #1 suspect due to the fact that he was in the home at the time of the abduction. While there was no signs of forced entry, there was a broken window by where the 3-year-old slept, which they believed the attacker could have abducted the baby girl from, but they never actually ended up applying this to Kennedy's case. In March of 1995, the prosecution believed that Brewer raped and murdered the baby in the Jackson's household, then throwing her body in the creek. A semen sample was taken from the victim's body, but was seen and determined insufficient for DNA testing. Now, you might be wondering, what is a DNA? DNA is genetic material found in the human body that makes us who we are, aka a genetic code that makes us unique as an individual. The medical examiner who conducted the autopsies claimed that there were several bite marks found on the child's body, claiming that 19 of these marks were without a doubt Brewer's, exclaiming that his 2 front teeth could have only left these marks. And you might be wondering, was there any more evidence? Was there any more evidence that convicted him of this crime because it's so heinous and it's so detrimental? No. They didn't have any other type of evidence that they used for this case because they were positive Brewer committed this heinous crime. Brewer was convicted of capital murder and sexual battery on March 24th, 1995, and was served the death penalty. After serving 15 years and him constantly asking to get a retrial, a man named Johnson had confessed not only to Brewer's case, but to another similar case where a young child was abducted, murdered, and raped. Kennedy Brewer was released from jail February 15, 2008. He then went on to work at factories and would be a repairman at catfish farms. But unfortunately, in March of 2020, his mother passed away due to a stroke, which caused him to struggle, but in the end, he is recovering. Now, how would I defend Brewer today with the advancements of, forensic technology? I would personally defend Brewer by making sure no forensic evidence is being overlooked. Because in this case, a bunch of evidence was being overlooked and just seemed inefficient and not, able to use during this case, like the semen sample. If we had that in today's technology, we could have totally found who did it right away and not let an innocent man be put behind bars. Now, another thing is, how would I connect this case to my CJ03 class? And I connect this case about mentioning how in Unit 1, we talked about how anything, anytime, and any place can potentially help the case tremendously while using in the court of law if applied correctly. Also, being how evidence can always be possible, but is it probable? Another thing being mentioned in TED Talk, We Need to Talk About Injustice by Brian Stevenson, quote, how politics of fear and anger have made us believe these problems are our problems. You might be wondering, how does this quote apply to our case? How does this stand out in our case? Well, this can apply by showing how people simply look for the easy way out, trying to find justice for something that clearly shows that it needs more evidence to be found guilty. Instead, the prosecution only used his teeth and ignored every other piece of evidence rather than making sure it was sufficient and probable. This essentially caused stats in 1989 to have tens and thousands of cases where prime suspects were found guilty until the advancement of DNA testing proved that they were wrongly accused and innocent. As technology advances, cases like these shouldn't be accepted. Innocent people shouldn't be placed in prisons for the sloppy work and laziness forensic scientists choose to do. Families and victims deserve the justice and closure that they deserve no matter what. So we need to look at evidence more clearly and stop thinking that, that doesn't need to, we can put this off to the side. No! This can put an innocent man in jail and take his whole life away from him. That is not okay. And that's the end of my amazing video. Okay, bye guys.